Do you play Need and you run out of bread too early, too often? Worry no more. My name is Popcorn, the solo dev behind Need, and here is a strategy, a stable loop that you can apply straight away. When the game starts and you enter the roam, you go straight to the quarry, assign two workers, and upgrade the quarry. While the stone is being gathered, we optimize the time, so we are thinking ahead. We go straight to the forest, and once we have enough stone to upgrade the forest, we will upgrade the forest. We will need wood and stone in early game, it is pretty important. Now that we have the forest and the quarry upgraded, which means faster production, we want to gather around 10 stone. Then we are gonna move the workers from the quarry to the forest. I will speed up the process of gathering so you don't have to wait. Now that we have the stone we need, we take the workers from the quarry and move them to the forest and gather around 8 to 10 wood. That's gonna be plenty. The key is to think ahead, to plan your next steps. Therefore, we are gonna go to the mill and upgrade the mill. We already have the resources that we need to upgrade the mill, and this will position us 2 steps ahead, and you're gonna see in a moment why. There are so many things to be discovered in the game, and I don't want to ruin the joy of discovery, therefore I'm gonna let you explore the game. Once we have the wood, the next step is simple. Take both workers from the forest and assign them to the wheat field. Wheat is one of the easiest resources to produce in Need, and 10 of them will do just fine for now. Once we have 10 wheat, we take the workers from the wheat field and assign them to the mill to produce flour. At this point, we are gonna turn all the wheat into flour. I'm gonna risk a little bit here and expand my housing capacity with one more tent. As I mentioned, thinking ahead is key. By increasing the housing capacity with one more tent might bring 2 extra workers just in time for the bread production. This means more workers assigned to the bakery, more bread is being produced. Need is designed in such a way to allow mistakes and also to take risk for a greater reward. Therefore, in the most critical moments, you can still make mistakes and take risk, as you are about to see. Once the flour is done, you take the workers from the mill and move them to the water well to gather water. Around 8 to 10 should be enough. If any workers arrive during the process, you assign those workers to the station where the other workers are assigned. We are currently in a critical situation where failure is around the corner, but water being the last resource we need in our strategy in order to produce bread, we are one step away from stability. Once you have the water, move the workers from the water well to the bakery and start bread production. Here I took another risk by upgrading the bakery and leaving me with only 2 bread in inventory. Even though some of the actions seems contradictory, why risking failure in such a critical moment? Well, faster production brings me the resources I need much quicker than I can consume. At this point you might think that you are in a worse position than the beginning, but you will end up with enough bread so you can repeat the process, the production loop. You already have some wood and some stone, and not much to be gathered, and also faster production. In order to complete this strategy, the next step is very simple and faster. You will only need some wheat, flour, water, and wood, and start the bread production loop again. Once the bakery has stopped, we move all the workers from the bakery and assign them to the wheat field. At this point we have enough bread not to worry too much, and we only gather 8 wheat. Once we have the wheat, we take the workers from the wheat field and assign them to the mill, and we only make 8 flour for a total of 10. Now that we have our 10 flour, we take the workers from the mill and assign them to the water well. I'm gonna risk again here and go in for 12 water, but 8 will be just fine. The next step would be to take some wood as well, and the extra water that we are gonna gather will be very helpful for the next production loop. We have our 12 water. We take the workers from the water well and assign them to the forest and gather 4 more wood for a total of 5. And then we start the bread production loop again. At this point we have all the resources we need. We take the workers from the forest and move them to the bakery and start producing bread. Because we took the risk on gathering 12 water instead of 8, this brought us back into a critical state on low bread, but we now produce more bread than we can consume. At this point, while the bakery is running, you might consider your next steps. Once the bakery stops, you can apply this strategy all over again. I will fast forward the recovery into stability, while mentioning the fact that in a need, every decision matters, whether it is a mistake or taking a risk. At this point you're stable again, with upgraded stations, faster production and more workers. This means that your next loop is gonna be faster, safer, and gives you more room to expand. Try this strategy and share your best score in the Steam Community Hub. Let's see how much you can push your next loop.